This is Ron Klopfenstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the hot seat on this Media Monday. Today is part 2 of our 2024, the year in local arts, entertainment, and media. And today I'm joined by Stephen Hampe from the Rome Community Theater. And as you remember, they've been on the show many times. They had Rabbit Hole, they had Anastasia. I got to be in Anastasia a little bit. I was the voice of the train conductor. They're always doing some really great plays. They're always doing great plays. And this year, they not only were nominated for some awards, they won some awards. We're going to talk about the great year that they had there in Rome. And then I'm going to talk to Nabil Khan. Nabil Khan has called into the show many times. He's our correspondent for all things manga, anime, DC, Marvel, role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, all that kind of cool stuff. And we'll be talking to Jay Easy. Jay Easy is a DJ here at 95.5 FM The Heat. And also, he does all the sound engineering for these shows. Without him, the shows would not sound as good because I still don't know what buttons to push. He also will be performing tomorrow at the New Year's Eve celebration in Utica, down at the Savings Bank of Utica. So we have three different artists, three different genres. We're going to talk about everything that made 2024 so great in all their respective fields. So Stephen Hampe, let's start with you. This is your second time on the show.
It is.
You went for Rabbit Hole. And how long have you been involved in Rome Community Theater?
For 7 years now.
7 years now. And you are on the board of directors?
I'm president of the board of trustees, yes.
Board of trustees. So what is your role as president board of trustees?
Basically, it's to run the meetings. We have 17 trustees and officers. So it's a very large group, a very diverse group of talents and ideas and attitudes. And it falls to me to try to corral all that in the attempt to get business done.
And when you attempt to get the business done, like, how do you decide, like, which plays you're going to do in any season?
Well, we pawn that off.
How's that?
Seriously, we have.
No one wants to be the unpopular person.
We have a play reading committee that about 5 people on it, and they will take patron suggestions, actor suggestions, director suggestions. They'll review those. They'll see what fit into hopefully a nice. Diverse season of shows, some comedy, some drama, some musicals, and put that together to hopefully create our next successful season.
So when you choose the plays, you really look with an eye to what other plays you have to make it nice
Absolutely.
Sort of variety stuff.
I mean, we just finished, literally yesterday, a non-season show, our Family Christmas Carol.
Okay.
And this one's a little bit different because unlike the play reading committee, which has to rent the shows, this was actually written and directed by one of our long-term members, Dave Bush.
Really?
So we can do whatever we want with it.
Royalty free.
It is royalty free, and in fact, as Dave pointed out during the run of this season's show, he has adapted it 6 times.
Wow.
This time, he chose to allow adults to take more of the lead roles, but we had 43 young, very young, middle young, teenager, and I was asked not to say older, but seasoned performers, all part of the cast.
Great. Now, when you choose plays, do you think about like the balance of what's required for the cast, so that you have parts for all types of ages and abilities and stuff?
Yes and no. I mean, for the Christmas Carol, Dave takes pride in, and also Kirsten Walker, who's done our children's plays over the summer. They both really come at it with a mind of if a kid shows up and they want to be part of it, they'll be a part for them.
Yeah.
And with Dave's show, he can create parts because he wrote it.
Right.
With other shows, Rabbit Hole, for example, there were only 5 characters. We can't just add one.
Right.
And they were of certain ages, so you needed a 30-something couple, you needed a 60-year-old matriarch, things like that. So you have a little less latitude in deciding how those play out. But what the play reading committee does then with the board's approval is try to moderate the style and the tone of the shows over the course of the year so that it will, I mean, ultimately we have to take into account, while we are a nonprofit, we are a community theater group, we're a business.
Right.
We need people to come and see the shows.
Ticket sales.
And
memberships too.
memberships too. And people who do become members often are our volunteers or become our volunteers, and they get to have their voices heard. They can join committees. They can run for a position on the board if they choose, and they help guide. And we've also had a couple of times some of the folks who do more of our behind-the-scenes work.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the people who are on stage are the people that people see.
Right, the actors.
But the people who put, the sets together, the lighting plots, the sound plots, even just work the curtains.
Yeah.
This is all necessary that
Right.
the performers don't look as good if any of those things go wrong.
Right.
And we still have people who have to run the box office and sell concessions and things like that. So it's a full-scale business, and we start with the play reading committee trying to create a season that is going to be the most successful that it possibly can be. The Family Christmas Show was very well attended and in fact sold out in its last performance.
Oh, good. So how much does ticket sales, how much weight does that bear on your decision to, or like anticipated ticket sales?
Well, I mean, I've taken part in some play reading discussions, and we don't ever look at it going, oh, well, let's do this one because we think this won't sell any tickets.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, there are just some things, there's always an X factor.
Yeah.
Last year, we did Letters to Sala, which was a very powerful drama that we thought really needed to be heard.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a Holocaust drama, not very well known. It's kind of considered the companion to Anne Frank's diary, but not nearly as well known. And we tried our best.
Yeah.
But it was in February.
Yeah.
February is not one of the best times to have a show.
Right.
But sometimes the advertising just hits the right tone, and it brings people in. The year before that, we had Drinking Habits in that time block. That sold out.
Do you think maybe one was a comedy or one was
sometimes?
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, we've had very good responses to dramas. After Rabbit Hole, people were coming out saying, we are so happy that you guys have the courage to put on shows like this and Sala.
Right.
But we also love Cabaret, and we loved...
Right. And Cabaret, too, was a serious show with a meeting and stuff.
It was, but it was also, obviously
it was very well known, too, yeah.
It was...
You think that helps?
Except it really wasn't.
Really?
It was an unusual phenomenon. Yes, people were aware of it.
Because I knew about it.
But we had a fair number of people who came up and did not know it had to do with Berlin before the Nazis' ascendancy.
And
then suddenly when they're seeing, Nazi iconography in the show toward the end of the show,
some people were real there.
Some people were a little freaked out.
Yeah.
Guys, you can look this stuff up.
Right.
Or Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
A couple of summers ago. Some people thought that has biblical connotations.
Oh my gosh!
No, it was an '80s jukebox musical about a music club.
Yeah.
Back in the early days of musicals.
Sometimes even like plays, if you think everybody knows what this is about, they don't.
Right.
They don't. So.
Right.
Now, who picks the ones that are reviewed by the committee?
It usually comes down to a very quick. I mean, this year we had I think 30, 40 different submissions.
Yeah.
Musicals are very popular.
Yeah.
And usually
one of you guys got to do Xanadu someday. And I swear, as soon as you do, I will give you full coverage. I will go to every rehearsal. I'll do stories about the actors. I want to see I want to see this so bad.
Are you listening to the committee?
Or Grey Gardens. I'm obsessed with Grey Gardens. Now, I get it. It's only like really two main parts. But there are some smaller parts, the Marble Fawn and stuff, So that's my plug. I can't help it. I always plug that whenever when I have people on who could pick plays. I'm like, oh my god, please do that.
But to that point, one of the things that has
was somewhat challenging though. Like, what do you do with a challenging play? Like, is it like say you were going to do that? It's all on skates. Like, do you factor that in?
Of course we do, and that's probably why we haven't considered it. We don't have a net. And the main floor of the auditorium is concrete.
Oh, that's right.
So,
yes.
fling.
True. They could go right off.
Yes, they could. But in all seriousness, that is something that has come up.
Oh, it has?
Somebody will say, this would be a really great show. Miss Saigon.
Right.
We can't do the helicopter.
Because the helicopter.
We just can't do the helicopter.
Right.
we have excellent set people. They have designed
Yeah.
some absolutely amazing things.
Right.
That's the one that we couldn't.
Yeah.
Anastasia, they built a train,
Right.
but not really a train.
But I bought it.
But it is. For the moment in that space, it looked like they were sitting on a train.
Right.
Even Annie Get Your Gun. Here's how these are things that tie together. Annie Get Your Gun had a train scene.
Right.
Anastasia had a train scene.
Yep.
Where do you think the pieces for the Anastasia train came from?
Ah,
The Annie Get Your Gun train.
Right.
We reuse this stuff over and over again.
Yeah. So now, is that a factor too? Like, do we have stuff to pull this off to make this set?
Yes.
Custom stuff? How about price? Like, I would imagine, like, to rent the rights for Miss Saigon would be a lot more than maybe to rent the rights for something that has been around much longer, like, say, Damn Yankees or...
And things like musicals generally are about 50-60% more expensive because you have to rent scores and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Rabbit Hole, I think we bought 10 scripts and it cost us a couple $100.
That's it?
We still had to pay royalties per performance.
Right.
But the supplies...
How did the royalties work? Do they get a portion of the ticket sales?
They, for community theater, I mean, the houses that sell the royalties do this for community theaters, regional theaters, Broadway.
Right.
They do it for everybody.
Yeah.
So, when we ask for the rights, we will tell them, we're a community theater, we're this big, we have this many seats, we'll do this many performances, and they have a little magic abacus or something,
Like a sliding scale kind of thing.
and, it's going to be $400 per performance for you.
Right.
Okay.
So you budget that in
We do.
terms of,
And then we do ask the directors and producers to put forward, Anastasia had needed a lot of costumes.
Right.
Rabbit Hole didn't need any.
Yeah.
The Family Christmas Carol didn't need a lot of
People
costumes.
could probably wear their own kind of Christmassy
but it was set in the 19th century.
Oh, yeah.
So we did want to have some costumes that kind of fit that. I mean, a little aside, I had a very small role in the show. I was the ghost of Things Yet to Come.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to have this big, scary cloak.
Yeah.
It's still in transit. We closed the show yesterday.
Okay.
We literally watched it travel from Ohio to Syracuse to Utica to Binghamton to Syracuse again, back to Utica. We still haven't gotten it. I ended up wearing a much cheaper cloak that also came from Amazon but arrived in time. But you make do. You just do.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to call out any of my cast members, we had a few bloopers in this show.
Oh, well, I'm sure they have.
It does, but there were some instances where, an actor tripped and fell.
Okay, oh, wow.
Okay, but she got right back up and continued her lines. And
that's part of the show, right?
Well, and it can be.
I mean, it's part of the live
I've kind of violated a principle here.
Yeah.
The audience doesn't know that.
Right.
Because there were some other characters who did fall down. This character wasn't supposed to.
So the character had to go with it.
Right,
probably,
exactly. Right?
Yeah.
And at the very end, Mark Hanna, who portrayed Scrooge, after his epiphany, he's dressing to go tell the children, here's the money, go buy the Christmas goose. And he starts singing Christmas carols, which of course he doesn't know. He's Scrooge. He never sang Christmas carols before.
The character.
So every single night, Mark threw in different words. And the audience loved it because, deck the halls with boughs of holly. Everybody should be really jolly. And he just made it up every night. And they loved it.
And it just worked.
Right. And that actually is part of how Dave designed it.
Yeah.
That he did follow the general story, but he also added in obvious outside moments.
Yeah.
There were narrators who would break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. There was a little...
So you had fun with it.
Oh, absolutely. This was one of... Yes.
What were some of your favorite moments for the year in your theater group? Of all the shows that you did, what are some things you most proud of?
To be totally blunt, I am completely biased for the simple reality that 12 hours ago I was coming off stage.
Yeah.
And I just came from a show.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful show.
Yeah.
But all the shows we put on, I've been proud of. I mean, I was involved in many of them, not on stage.
Yeah,
producing them. But, Anastasia was a blockbuster.
Yes.
Cabaret was very successful. Rabbit Hole may not have been financially successful, but it was a tremendously well acted and powerful show.
It was an artistic
It was, and we talked earlier about winning awards.
Right.
Rome Community Theater is a member of the Theater Association of New York State, and we do have an educational charter.
Right.
So we do intend that people are going to learn stagecraft. They're going to learn by being part of our shows.
Yeah.
And one of the services that Tanis provides is that they will send somebody who has had training to watch shows, look for certain features and good things and bad things, and then talk to the cast and crew afterwards. And and they say flat out, we're not telling you to change anything, but just food for thought. Maybe the next character you have, maybe
sort
instead
of like notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But maybe lean this way or that way, or maybe instead of lighting that corner like this, stuff like that. But they also give awards to outstanding performances, and they are kind of ranked. Outstanding is like the gold medal, excellent is the silver medal, and meritorious is the bronze.
Yeah.
And we regularly win outstandings and excellence and meritorious. And it is something that, I mean, obviously, we don't get a Tony and we don't get to make a speech in front of millions of people.
But that is it. I mean,
but it is nice to know.
That is the award, right? Exactly.
It is nice to know that the work you've put in receive some recognition.
Absolutely.
And it does actually help some of our performers and directors and crew. If they decide to contribute to another company, they can say, and I've won a Tanis Award for choreography or for directing, and that does.
Plus, it's also nice for the people that live around here to know that they can see entertainment on the caliber that wins awards like that right up there in Rome. So,
and actually, that was something that a volunteer suggested to me. We have a bulletin board in our lobby that has all of our season shows on it.
Yep.
But obviously, Rabbit Hole and Cabaret have already happened.
Yeah.
So they're not coming up anymore.
Right.
Why don't we take down the little synopsis and put what the awards were? Put up the cast photo.
Right.
And that is something that hopefully we'll do before the next show, and people will see.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we do always, once the awards are announced, flood our social media with, hey, we are award-winning theater.
And that's good to do. You have to do that. You have to get your mess job. We have some messages too from our advertisers, so we're gonna take a break right now. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. This is part 2 of 2024, the year in local arts, entertainment, and media. My guests today are Stephen Hampe from the Rome Community Theater and Nabil Khan. He's going to talk about anime, manga, comic books, role-playing games, and we're going to talk to Jay Easy about the year in music and about his performance tomorrow night at the New Year's Eve celebration with the Bank of Utica. I'll have more after the break. This is Monday. Hi everybody, welcome back to the hot seat. This is 2024, the year in local arts, entertainment, and media, part 2. We also had part 1 last week, and I will have a special show 2 days from tonight. This will be on Wednesday, January 1st. It'll be my first hot seat Media Monday of the year on a special time on a Wednesday, and that'll be part 3. We'll have some more guests to talk about all the great things that happened in 2024. 2024 was a great year for media and journalism and art and performance and plays and doing all this stuff, and no one knows more about the cool stuff than Nabil Khan. Nabil Khan is our correspondent. He calls in once a month with the latest on anime, manga, comics, role-playing games, Legos too. That's a cool thing, So Nabil, what's happening in your world?
So Ron, we were talking about it during the break, and I'm sure at this point, with all the views that you could see when you look at it on YouTube, at some point in recent memory, everybody's been talking about the Superman trailer for the new movie coming out next year.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I'm cautiously excited.
Why are you cautiously excited?
So, we've talked about Marvel stuff a lot, in our past conversations, and Marvel seems like they have a better handle on their visual media.
I agree.
So with DC, it's kind of a real coin toss. You might be getting something good, or you might be getting something not. Versus Marvel, which is kind of consistently good.
Yep.
Maybe opinions get divided, but nobody's ever like, this is horrible quality. It may just be disagreements on the content.
Right.
So DC sometimes is just flat bad.
Yes.
So,
are they pulling it together? Are they going to pull it together? You know, we're at a time now when the big media conglomerates are actually talking about splitting up more than combining. Is something where is DC something where maybe they need other people to run it?
so it's funny you mentioned that. I'm not sure exactly when exactly they hired him, but James Gunn, the man
Yeah.
behind the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy
Right.
from Marvel,
It sounds promising.
yeah, he parted ways with Marvel and got
Right.
hired on to be the head of films for DC.
Sort of like the Kevin Feige, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now he, having worked with Kevin,
Right.
has now become his like successor at DC with
Yeah.
Peter Safran.
Right.
And they have a kind of their own slate of DC movies they're doing, and Superman's
When
the first
when
one.
will they be? Oh, so Superman is the first.
Superman's
So
the first.
what do you anticipate about about Superman? Do you anticipate this paying off, this investment in James Gunn?
So if you've watched the trailer, they have a lot of stuff they packed into 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There's superheroes aplenty that aren't just Superman.
Yep.
You got Crypto, his dog.
Yep.
You've got like parents that look kind of down to earth, more maybe conventional appearance than Ma and Pa kind of on the farm. You know,
Yeah.
like people you might run into and be like, oh wow, that's Superman's dad.
Yeah.
Villains, just a whole big complete story without having to hit his origin for the 100th time.
Right. Do you
But-
think that's good?
I think it's a bold decision, and that's why I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm like, we all know what happened to Superman. We all know that he got shot off from his home planet.
Well, that's what I
right?
mean. Like, do we need the origin story for each reboot?
I don't think we do. I think I wouldn't be surprised if when the movie's going or starting, maybe even in the credits, we'll
Right.
do like a montage. Like
Right.
you see the
Right.
rocket, you see
Yeah.
the land, but
Kind of like Up.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Up had a good way to do that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and like
yeah.
clear through that stuff in 2 minutes while the credits
Yeah.
are rolling,
Right.
instead of spending a
Right.
whole lot of time on
Exactly, because it's
So-
stuff that we already know, and it's really
Mhm.
just the prelude to the story itself. What do you think the story itself will be like, and are you looking forward to this?
it. I can only guess what the story's going to be, but I think it'll be kind of something where maybe Superman himself is established. Maybe he's like the big hero in the world, but hasn't really, come together with a Justice League yet, or
Right.
other heroes, and maybe his presence will start to inspire these other heroes to come together rather
Yeah.
than work separately.
Right.
So, they'll be like, hey, Superman's been around, he's been in Metropolis, he's been doing his thing, well, why can't I help?
Yeah.
Why can't I cover another part of the world?
Right.
And
Right.
he might serve as an inspiration in his film to the others.
Now, what about Marvel? What do they have to counter this? What do they have coming up in 2025?
So 2025 has 3 Marvel movies. I would say 2 of them are middle to like big, and I think one is also going to kind of compete with Superman. We're not really hearing much about it at the moment, but I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a trailer for it soon.
What's that?
So that's going to be Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to be a big hit this time?
So
Because so far it hasn't.
yeah, so the bar's low.
Yeah, the bar's very low.
They can't go anywhere but up at this point.
Right. Right.
And even
So
though
why
Superman's
why
gonna
keep
be
going
floating
back
up-
to the well? Do you think?
So in the past, those films were made by different studios. So I think Kevin thinks.
Oh,
he
I
can,
see. So now that it's done by Marvel, by Kevin, it could
Exactly.
be a total
Yeah.
different
So
story.
and they can kind of fold it into all the existing stuff they have already. They've got a lot of big names attached.
yeah.
You hear the name Pedro Pascal for Mr. Fantastic, and you
Right.
think, huh? But I'm sure they've got a plan.
Yeah.
They'll
right.
surprise us.
Now, Agatha All Along did really well this year,
Yeah.
and they relied a lot less on special effects than
Mhm.
other shows in the genre do.
Yeah.
They actually built their sets.
Mhm.
They relied, I would say, a lot on story, which appealed to me, character development,
Mhm.
and it was a big hit. It was a bigger hit, I think, than they anticipated.
Mhm.
Do you think that they will draw a lesson from that in terms of maybe spending more time or money, both time and money, their attention on character development and less on the CGI? Because are we getting to the point where like the long denouements, where they have these big epic clash showdown things
Mhm.
that go on at first for like 5 minutes, but now it's 7 minutes, then 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Mhm.
It's getting to the point where like when you get to the finale,
Mhm.
that's almost a good time to go to the bathroom because you have time to go, you come back,
Yeah.
they're still at it.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe from Agatha a lesson will be taken that we really do need to focus on the characters.
I think that Agatha definitely showed a different way, kind of how you pointed out, to approach these Marvel characters in a way that doesn't always have to be the big giant endgame type fight.
Yeah.
I think going into 25, you're going to see a mix.
Yeah.
I think you'll still get some of the movies that have those things, and then they'll do the shows, and they'll do them as they need to. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
I think they've learned that we need to not force characters and stories into directions that don't fit them. That
Yeah.
we should let the stories serve themselves. So, for example, the first Marvel movie of the year is going to be Captain America: Brave New World,
Mhm.
and it actually features a different Captain America than the past films.
Right.
You know,
right.
he started on a TV show, and now they're elevating him to a film.
Yeah.
And that movie's going to have a Hulk in it, and they're going to
Yeah.
be, you know, fighting like on top of like the body of a giant space alien at one
Mhm.
point. And
Yep.
that movie will probably be one of the big bombastic ones.
Right.
And
Right.
then the month after, in March, you get Daredevil,
Mm-hmm.
new Daredevil show,
Yeah.
and that's a street level thing. You're gonna have guys fighting in alleys. You're gonna have the
More
lawyer in
down
the
to earth
courtroom.
type
and-
stuff.
Yeah, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The fact that within a couple of weeks' time you'll see both those things is Marvel saying we understand.
Do you think that I had some concerns into the summertime going into Agatha's premiere that there seemed to be that the culture, especially the culture of this the fan base, seemed to have really turned against shows with female leads. And I was upset about that, but I was also really concerned about how that would affect Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed that Agatha was not only immune to that, but perhaps even kind of turned around that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Agatha All Along made some progress in terms of getting people to recognize the importance and the worth of these superhero type shows with female protagonists? Really, sometimes in terms of Agatha dealing with female things like female friendships working together, do you think that show made some progress in that regard?
I do, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago. I think because Agatha was a more female-focused character, a female-focused show, rather than try to be like, oh, well, why don't we move the spotlight, even though the show's about Agatha, to a man, they let the story play out, right? Like they went down the Witch's Road.
Yeah,
Everybody had
right.
different things that they wanted.
Right.
You know, some got what they wanted, some didn't. If you haven't watched the show yet,
Well, and they got what they wanted. They did what they had to do, also
Yes.
without the help of men.
Yes, and going into 25, there's, on its face, it does look like there's more male-led content, between, like we just talked about, Captain America,
Yeah.
we got Daredevil. The Fantastic Four will be more of a family movie because it'll
Right,
focus on
right.
men and women.
Yeah.
In fact, they, we talk a little bit about controversial things, maybe like how some people, felt about Agatha.
Yeah.
Going into the Fantastic Four, there's going to be a character that's been primarily played by a man
Mhm.
in past films and just in the comics, the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And they're slightly tweaking the history.
How so?
So, we're some deep nerd lore here.
Mhm.
Galactus, big world-eating monster of the Marvel universe. He's actually more of like a giant man, but
Right.
he sends heralds onto
Yeah.
worlds to prepare them to be eaten.
Yeah.
And his first herald was the Silver Surfer.
Okay.
The way he chose him was when he first needed a herald, he went to the planet that he was going to eat, and a man said, I will give up my life, and I will be your herald to help you find worlds for you to eat.
Yeah.
And he left a wife behind.
Yeah.
So my understanding is in Fantastic Four, instead of the husband giving up, his wife is being chosen instead.
Be the wife.
So they're changing it a little bit. She's an existing character.
Mhm.
She never became the Silver Surfer,
Yeah.
but she will be now.
Are you seeing any feedback or backlash on Reddit or on any of the
The
online
initial
forums about that?
reaction
I
has
hope
definitely
not,
been
but-
a little not inviting,
Right.
to say the
That's
least.
one way to say it.
But you know what? That happens a lot before content
It
comes
does,
out,
right,
and
right.
and then once it does, the
Yeah.
reception kind of settles, because from there you've actually got the thing, you can see the thing, you can see
True.
how did the story turn out. Were they pandering, or did they actually do a good job?
And I think that comic book fans and the comics fans are more used to the idea of like the reboot. You know that like sometimes we're gonna have like different actors. We have a different actor play Captain America now, who's not Chris Evans, and we accept that. And I think that there's something where there's a commonality between like that in soaps is that the stories have to keep going on, and sometimes the way that the characters evolve is they evolve by being played by somebody else, you know. So
yeah,
and I think we're open to that.
The only difference in that comparison, I think, would be like in the soap, it might be the same character but with a different face, like you know.
True, that's true.
They might both be Sonny Corinthos, but not the same actor.
Right.
And in this one, it's like Chris Evans passed the shield on to
a
Sam.
new person stepping into a Sonny Corinthos type role. Okay, I see.
It.
So what's happening with manga and anime? You know, I don't know much about that, but I'd like to know, like, really, what are the big things? What's coming up, and what are people talking about in that field?
So, like manga, for anybody that isn't 100% aware, is Japanese comics. Like they get printed in Japan first. There's usually a localization period, right? They print them in Japan, and then eventually they make their way to this side of the pond. Yep. Sometimes they've gotten to a point where we're getting them at the same time.
Yep.
Other times there's a delay.
Are there words?
Yeah.
But they're
read
backwards.
Yeah, so they read from right to left instead of left to right. Yep.
So you would open the book, like you really put the book like the way we would put the book down. You would put the book the opposite way, with what you think of as the cover on the bottom.
Yeah, and that's if you're reading them traditionally. Sometimes they do to serve like the English speaking audience. They'll flip flop them for you.
Oh, okay.
Like they'll release them here and they'll put them in the order that we would read it. Yeah. So I mean that sometimes is part of the delay in getting here because you got somebody who drew it out, wrote it out, and they said, all right, now we gotta reverse it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But, so my thing is, I'm a big fan of anime, and I'm a big fan of some manga, but I'm not necessarily reading it and watching it in a timely manner. Like, I might be picking up stuff from a long time ago that I'm enjoying for the first time now.
Are you seeing more of it on Netflix? Because it seems like on Netflix there's a lot more of it now.
Netflix definitely has their hands in a lot of anime. In fact, Netflix's big thing the last couple of years is they take existing animes and they've been turning them into live action.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so one of the, I think that was earlier this year, One Piece.
Yeah.
One Piece is a very long-running manga and anime, like over 1,000, maybe almost 2,000 episodes.
A series.
Yeah.
A series.
Wow. Maybe over 100 volumes of manga. They decided to release a live-action version, and I believe it. If I recall, it was very well received at the beginning of the year.
What is it about it that appeals to you?
I'm actually 25% Japanese.
Yeah.
I did grow up a little bit with this in my household. Like people, you know, my mom would get some of it, so it's definitely like a thing that, you know, I've read growing up and then just kind of carried it into, you know, later parts of life.
Right.
But the storytelling is different.
Are you comfortable to read from from right to left instead of left to right?
I don't know if there's a word for it, but I'm like.
I know what is the word for that?
It'd
Not
be like
ambidextrous, but
I was thinking it was like ambuliterate.
Yeah, I know, right.
I can do either direction.
You can, yeah.
One thing I will say is that this One Piece one that we mentioned from Netflix that was well received came after several attempts from them trying to adapt other things into live action that were not well received.
It didn't work.
Some things just look better in animation, you know, be it Japanese, American, whatever. You kind of can bend the rules a little bit more.
I would almost kind of imagine why that sort of thing would work better.
Right. You know, so then when you try to put something very like silly and you know out of this world in animation into live action, it doesn't always translate well. So
do you prefer if they stick to animation?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if they wanted to make it live action, they probably should have done it from the start.
Yeah. Well, you have to tell us more about what's coming up in the field of comics and also this project you have coming up too. We'll hear more about the Rome Community Theater from Stephen Hampe, and also we'll hear about Jay-Z's plans for New Year's Eve at the Bank of Utica for the New Year's Eve celebration in Utica. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfenstein, and I'll have more after the break.
Bank of Utica.
This is Ron Klopfenstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the hot seat on this Media Monday. My guests today are Stephen Hampe. He's on the board of directors of the Rome Community theater, and Nabil Khan, who's talking about manga, anime, DC, Marvel, comics, role-playing games, and we'll be talking to Jay Easy. Jay Easy is he does the sound and engineering for the show, and also he will have a show tomorrow. He'll be in the Bank of Utica New Year's celebration out there on Genesee Street, so we'll talk more about that. So, Stephen, there were a lot of great plays this last year at 2024 at Rome. A lot of the cast members and directors and you, the producer, have been here on this show. What's coming up in 2025?
In 2025, talking about how things sometimes fortuitously get scheduled, we have a rom-com musical.
Okay.
First date coming up in February. The cast has already been set and they're in rehearsals now.
And they are going to be on the show.
And they're coming up
And you
later,
know what?
yes.
I think we're going to give away a prize.
That we will hope.
So stay tuned.
Arrange that for you. But that'll be February 7th through the 9th and the 14th.
And what a good thing
Valentine's
to do on Valentine's
Day,
Day.
yes.
Go see a play.
We will tie that in.
Yes.
Following that, we seem to have a tradition of a murder mystery farce.
I love those.
That's going to be Clue, directed by Deb Martin. That will be April 4th through the 6th, 11th through the 13th.
Whoever plays Mrs. Peacock, I want her on this show.
I will pass that on.
So you tell whoever's auditioning, that's part of the job. She's got to come and be interviewed by me. I
And
love
then-
Mrs. Peacock.
And then we'll finish out the season in May with Private Lives, another rom-com.
Wow.
That'll be May 23rd to the 25th, the 30th through June 1st. And then hopefully we'll have stuff planned for the summer and start planning for next year. But again, we are kind of limited on what we can talk about because if we don't know what the shows are yet, we can't talk about what they're going to be.
Well, I'm excited about the first date and about Clue. And Clue is such a fun play. I mean, every character, whatever part you get to play in that play, it's going to be fun. Because the characters are just so iconic and
Ridiculous?
So. Yes. Clue is a lot of fun. So Nabil, what's coming up for you guys in 2025?
So for anybody that doesn't know, I actually manage the local comic book store Ravenswood in New Hartford. We're going into our 43rd year this July.
Wow.
Yep. And something we're trying new this year is a graphic novel reading club.
That is a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's for a small fee, you're gonna get a book every month. You get a couple weeks to read it, and then we'll come back together and talk about it. And we're starting with a kind of an iconic Batman story called Hush.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much about it, but it kind of piggybacks off of the murder mystery because it is a murder mystery, and they lead you in a couple directions.
Would you like an ad in our program?
Perhaps.
Hey, there you go.
Right?
Do some business. I like it.
Yeah. So this story though came out, I want to say 15 years ago originally.
Yeah.
And they decided in March that they're going to do a sequel.
Okay.
So we figured for February we'll read the original, and that way if anybody decides they want to start into the comic sequel, they can hop in on that as well.
So if people want to do this, how would they get a copy of this? How would they sign up for your group?
So Ravenswood Comics has a Facebook page. We have a website.
I'll put links to all this in the show notes.
Yeah. Eventually, we're working on probably having a Discord soon too.
Oh, neat.
So, but any of those online methods, you can come in, just walk in and be like, "Hey, I heard about your book club. How do I get in?" And we'll put you on the list.
So you buy the book, and then will you guys all meet up and
Yep. So we do have so the way we're doing it is actually we have a pickup date by February 5th.
Okay.
You have until to pick it up, we can get it for you, and then we'll meet back up on February 20th, which I believe is a Thursday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so sit around and talk about the book and stuff. And
Yeah, and then maybe take some input on future releases, talk about the sequel, talk about what we thought about the book. Maybe who they thought the killer was before we get to who it actually is.
What a good idea. Because there's so many book clubs, but I've never heard about a graphic novel club.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing. It's such an important genre in lit now. It's really, really good idea. Yeah. So what are people talking about in Ravenswood? What are the titles that people are interested in? What are people thinking about? What do people maybe want changed? People have strong opinions about these titles.
I mean, there's always controversy and everything, but as we end the year, the one book, and I hate to always stick to Batman, but he's DC's highest selling guy. They had a Christmas comic.
Oh yeah.
5-issue mini with Batman and Santa having to say Christmas, and it's a serious comic. It's not like a like a kid's silly book.
Yeah.
I mean, Santa's in some real trouble, and who does he call?
Batman.
Yeah. So
I like that.
I believe we have all 5 issues available of that still, and the story is done.
I like
So,
that.
and I mean, worst case scenario, comics, books, they're seminal. You can
And I
wrap
like
that
the
up and save it for next Christmas for somebody.
And it's still growing too. People are still reading these, still into these, and
Yep.
the colors and the action and the bright. It's just so much fun.
The
So.
beauty of a comic is there's a new one every Wednesday of some kind.
I like that.
So
Yes.
People are making New Year's resolutions all the
Yep.
time. We can make a reading resolution to pick something up once a week.
Once a week, and a comic book a week is something you can do. Can read that.
It's about the cost of a cup of coffee.
Yes,
Or maybe
yes.
less than a cup of coffee, depending on where you go.
I like that resolution. Yeah,
Yeah.
readers, listeners, got to give that a try. So, Stephen, now for you, the plays that you're going to do, a lot of plays have been done before, but you have to make them fresh. Your talent has to make them fresh. Your talented people have to make them fresh. How do you approach a play like Clue or like Private Lives that's so well established? People have ideas what it's about. How do you make it fresh?
Well, obviously that comes down to what the director's vision is, how they communicate that to the actors, who will come with some of their own visions, and through the process of the rehearsals, you'll see that maybe this line gets a little flat, so they change it up, they change the tone, they change the delivery, what have you, and that's how you do make it fresh.
Yeah. So do you probably tap into the timeless qualities of the stories, the emotions, Now with a play like Clue, you're gonna have a lot of people that come to see it who have a very strong image of what the movie was like.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, as a producer, how do you deal with that? Think about this is our version of Clue. It's gonna be somewhat like you used to, but it's gonna be a little bit our own.
Well, I would rely on the director because it's their vision that's coming through.
Right.
But in concert with the director, the producer should be creating an advertising campaign that maybe gives a little hint as what some of the new things might be versus some of the classic parts.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just got to let it fly.
Yeah.
And let people come and see, and you know what? I was really expecting it to be like this, but you guys did this, and that was great.
Right, and people will just enjoy it for what it is. I'm sure. So, Jay-Z, I want to go to you now. So we're going to pass the mic over to you. This has been a really good year in music, but especially for you, but also for some of the people here at the station too, because it was a big year for Bobby Bounce. He was on Sirius XM. That's pretty amazing. You have a show coming up tomorrow night and New Year's Eve. Why don't you tell us all about that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be performing, Bank of Utica New Year's Eve party, celebration, event, whichever you want to call it. It goes down every year. Things been annual for the past 5 years now, I believe.
Yeah, we've been to a few.
Yeah, so this year I'm fortunately so honored to be a part of it.
Just one mic.
Yeah, I'll be performing my own music.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to answer your question about how I got involved in it, have to send a major shout out to Michelle Truitt. She's part of the Levitt AMP committee.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to her, expressed interest in, being part of it, and she contacted me back and was like, "Hey, think you could do a half-hour set?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I can do it." And shout out to Barry Sennett as well, the whole Bank of Utica staff. Really great guy. Actually, a classmate, to tell the truth.
Oh, your classmates?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, well, cool.
Yeah, we found out we put timelines together. So we have to be classmates.
Yeah, and he does a lot for the station too. I know.
Yes.
Any of those comics, because
Oh,
he's a
he does?
customer.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's a good guy for a lot of us,
Yes, definitely. He's a great guy. But just put the word out, threw the line out there, or as we say nowadays, I shot my shot.
Yeah.
And scored.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. They always have a kind of like a fire pit out there with and they have it's a barbecue contest.
I know they have a chili cook-off.
Chili cook-off. Yeah.
Things between the fire department and the police department.
And there was the year that we went, there was acts in the windows of the Bank of Utica. There's ballerinas up there. It was pretty incredible, and just to see the crowd, in New Year's Eve. It's a very New Year's Eve-ish kind of thing. It is a lot of fun. So you must be really excited about that.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You might
and nervous at the same time, but it's a good nervous.
I think nervous is pretty much par for the course with that kind of thing. But but it is a good nervous though too. You know, it's like you want to look forward to things, and it's good to be thinking I want to do the best job that I can and all that. You know, and I know you're going to do great, and yeah. So what kind of songs? What songs do you, or what raps do you plan to? Can you any or tell us any, or do you have a theme or?
Well, I try not to give too much away. I'll say this much. For people that listen to the station, they're probably more familiar with my Black Lives Matter song.
Yep.
So it's only right that I perform that.
Yep.
I do have a brand new song that I'm performing for the first time ever. That's being heard for the first time ever.
Wow.
Publicly.
Cool.
At Baker Utica.
Hey.
Tomorrow night.
A premiere.
Yeah, featuring my brother Amos Donnell.
Oh, I know him from Facebook. He's all over too. Yeah, you gotta get him on the show too.
Yes, definitely. He does like the Pens karaoke and stuff like that. So he's going to be on the song with me, and my family, Leilani, she's a singer and a rapper also. She's getting more into the entertainment field.
Great.
Steadily, more consistently now. She's
Yeah.
hosted like events with Jay Watch and
Oh
things
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So she's going to be on the song with me as well. So that's world
really
debut
cool.
tomorrow
World
night.
debut. I can't wait to hear that.
So I got a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
Like I said, putting it together was
Yes.
a process. Trying to fit as many songs as I possibly could into a
Into your half
set.
hour, right?
So
right.
I'm doing like little snippets here and there, little medleys here and there.
Yep.
Of songs that I've done like over the course of time, and but they're all tied in together.
Yeah, yeah.
To make a
So
great
it'll be
show.
9:15.
Yes, I'll be up at 9:15.
9:15. Yep.
Going to 9:45.
And it's like down on Genesee Street, down by the Bank of Utica, actually,
Right.
is where it is, by state office building
Right.
and stuff. And there's always a big crowd, and there's a lot of stuff to do, and cool people come down and see you perform. That'll be great. Congratulations.
Yes,
It's been a
indeed.
good year for you.
Yes.
So you.
So-
oh yeah,
ahead,
you
go
go
ahead.
right ahead. Don't go.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just thought you might want to know some of the other things that's
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
The Baker Utica actually pulled up the
Oh cool, cool.
flyer here. Of course, like I said a little while ago, the chili cook-off between the Utica Police Department and the Fire Department. That's going on a little after 8 o'clock. They got, fire dancers, jugglers, flower artists, acrobatic acts, hula hoopers, magic stunt bike riders, face paint for the kids. They'll have their own countdown at 9 p.m.
Oh, that's right.
And, they got Soul Injection. They'll be like headlining.
Yeah, yeah.
TK Howard was on my Saturday Sizzle show.
Oh, that's right.
This past Saturday.
Yep.
So the Sean Smith Band, H Melody, Leaky 14, a bunch of stuff going on all through the night. Gates open at 6:45.
Yeah.
And just going up until midnight, where Mayor Galimi will be, playing Auld Lang Syne on the saxophone along with Soul Injection.
Yep.
It's going to be a fun time. So
it's a really great night. There is so much to see, like the ballerinas and things to see. There's the music and stuff to watch and stuff to eat and to walk around and just see the crowds. And it's a really exciting time, So
yes, definitely,
it's going to be really great. So you guys got a few minutes left. Any New Year's resolutions? My resolution, I'm going to say this publicly. This year, I'm going to make more effort into building muscle. In the last 2 years, I've lost 60 pounds. Done good. I've exercised, but now it's like, and I've worked out all the way. But now it's like my emphasis, instead of getting smaller, get bigger. Plus, I have this really big mammoth story that's like bearing down on me like a heavy weight above my head that I'm working on about solar farms for this place in Syracuse that I keep never getting to and putting off, and it's like, God help me, I'm going to get that thing done. So those are my 2 resolutions for 2025. How about you, Nabil? We'll go to you, and then we'll go to you, Steven.
I have more content that I'm trying to create on my own that I want to get off the ground. So
I like it.
That's one of my things, and I also want to get back into playing music. It's really funny. I didn't know Mayor Galimi played saxophone.
Wow.
I play saxophone, but
You have to
I don't
go
know
watch.
I don't know which one he plays. I play baritone, so it's the one that nobody ever wants to play because it's too big.
Oh,
So, but I've got it, and I kind of want to get back into playing. So.
Well, hey, you have to go see him and see him at the show. So good. Well, those are two very good goals. My goal always is to make more content. I'm always making content. I make content in my sleep. You know.
Just gonna make it a reality now, right?
I
Make
know.
content reality.
I'm like, I am content. It just flows. Just flows. How about you, Steve? Steven, what are your resolutions for 2025?
Kind of simple. The holiday show gave me a chance to sing on stage for the first time in a long time.
Good for
I'd
you.
like to do more of that.
I like that. Well, you know what?
awesome.
If there's one theme of this show, it's do stuff. It's make content, do stuff. Go play instruments and play songs and get your family involved, get your friends involved, and read stuff and write stuff and all that kind of stuff. That's what the Hot Seat Media Monday is all about. So, Jay-Z, we're going to kick it over to you in just a minute, and you're getting ready for your big show tomorrow at 9:15 at the Bank of Utica. New Year's Eve, you'll be downtown, right outside the Bank of Utica, with lots of shows and things to eat and food and stuff like that. I have this entire show plus show notes up on the uticaphoenix.net website. You know what? I'll probably try to get it done tonight because since tomorrow actually is New Year's Eve and we're talking about New Year's Eve stuff, I usually give myself until Wednesday and then I usually take until Thursday. And then if there's something good on Wednesday or Thursday on TV, sometimes if I have to watch Matlock, I might take until Friday. But this week, I'm gonna get done tonight because I want to get this up for New Year's Eve. So to all the listeners out there, thank you for watching the show on YouTube, and thanks for tuning in to the show in 2024. This has really been a great year. I've been doing this media for 30 years. It's been the best year I've ever had. My own show, having a great time. Thank you so much to Jay-Z, who does all the equipment, the sound engineering, plugs this in, presses this button. Without him, you'd hear nothing but static. Thank you to my husband, Jim Hale, who takes the videos, gets the pictures, makes sure that the podcast is being recorded. Thank you again to Cassandra Harris Lockwood for spinning me off into my own show. I've always wanted to spin off of my own. I'm like Laverne and Shirley here. I got my own spin off here, you know? And listeners and everybody out there, just thanks and have a great year. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. It's been the Hot Seat Media Monday. Now I'm going to kick things over to the cool guy over here, Jay-Z, for the easy ride home.